Welcome to Ready Gamer 1, a nerdy podcast that discusses a lot of nerd culture with an affinity for Nintendo. I'm your host, Ben Cornett, and with me again is Lucas Corbitt.
Hello.
And before we introduce our extra guest this week, what I want to do is I want to issue an apology to everybody that listened last week. So I either got super excited or my brain was fried, one or the other, and I kind of told everybody the wrong days for the Switch announcement. So that was actually last week. It was a couple days ago. It's Thursday and Friday, not Friday and Saturday. So I apologize about that. It's a mistake. It is what it is. But everybody saw some awesome stuff. Obviously, that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into that, we have a very special guest joining us, Brandon Loera. He worked with Lucas and I numerous times. He's worked with us for a few years. So Brandon, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello. I'm excited to be on here now. My name is Brandon Loera, and I am from Texas. Hello out there. I do not have a cowboy hat like everybody thinks. Hopefully I don't have too much of an accent, so yeah, I'm excited.
That is actually the most non-Texan accent from anyone that lives in Texas.
Thank God.
So apparently there's some big news this week. Did you guys hear about that?
What news, Ben?
Microsoft actually has announced Chapter 11 bankruptcy. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, we got our full on presentation on the Nintendo Switch, and actually we were live talking about it in our staff chat. And Brandon and I want to point this moment out because I didn't call it out anywhere else. The guy from Grasshopper.
Oh man,
that was such an awkward stage presence.
Well.
I think he meant well, but I think he was like, "Oh God, I've never talked to a room full of like that many people."
Apparently, he's a big name. I don't know him personally. People were actually putting the blame on the translator and saying that. I mean, there was a switch in translators. Apparently, I didn't notice it, but apparently the second one wasn't as great.
Yeah, because Bill Trinan did show up and he was translating out there too, which was pretty impressive. So yeah, we have our full announcement on the Switch, and like Lucas, what we talked about last week, we got a lot of information that we kind of thought we would.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we definitely got the price. The price is listed at $299, which is it's only $50 more than what we were kind of all seeing rumor wise was that was going to be $249.
Yeah, that's totally fair for what we're going to be seeing from it.
Exactly. I mean. There's obviously you've got people that have now digested this information, and there's been some interesting articles, and I bring up a couple of those points, especially under the accessories area. But overall, the prices, that's a pretty fair price.
I think everybody is comparing it to modern prices of the PS4 and Xbox, and they're like,
yeah.
Oh, PS4 and Xbox One are so much better right now. I was like, well, yeah, because they've had a few years already. So
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to start off as like $100. Come on now.
No, there was actually in the Nintendo Holics group that we're all a part of. I think I just put you in there today, Brandon. There is somebody posted this link that it shows the prices of systems from the Nintendo, the original Nintendo, and then it has like all the original other systems, like the big players of Sony, Sega as well. And it has prices adjusted for inflation. So, I mean, if the Nintendo Entertainment System were released at today's pricing, it would be like $400 some when originally it was $199. So the Switch, actually, I think the argument was that the Switch was the fourth cheapest console of all time. So that's really good news, I feel. But the downfall, at least for me, and feel free to tell me I'm wrong, I feel is where the accessories come in, because I feel the accessories are way overpriced. That dock for the system for $90 is a joke. It needs to probably be $49 because all that thing is doing, it's charging the device, and it's also then once it's plugged in, like once you have it docked, it can go from 720p to 1080p. That's all that it's doing. To me, the Wii U gamepad has a dedicated charging port. So why does the Switch not have a dedicated charging port? To me, that's a bad thing.
Well, I think because it's going to be so mobile, we won't always be near, a power source unless you get that car charger accessory. So I think that makes sense to me why it doesn't have its own charge port. But I agree, it's not I'm not gonna say it's not worth $90 because I would, have no other way to charge it. But it's in time.
I mean, if you think about
smart
it,
to go down a little bit.
right? Because if you think about it, for $90, you're going to have you'd have two of them, right? Because if you get the system, you're going to have one. So then you have another TV in your room. Because I mean, how many TVs does the average household have anymore? So to me, I own two. That seems adequate. So, but $90 for something to then be able to pick it up and then put it from my living room into my bedroom, I'm not too thrilled about it.
Let's think about this. The PS4 controllers. I don't know about Xbox. My brother has an Xbox. I have a PS4. But their controller prices have barely gone down in 3 or 4 years. Maybe $10 used. I mean, not $10 off of the list price used. So it hasn't been too much of a difference. I mean, I don't know about the dock price, but the controller price with the Joy-Cons and everything, people are saying, well, because technically it's two, so it would be what, $40, $35, $30 for each one or something?
Well, it's $49.99 for the left or the right. I mean, it's not and. If you want to get and, it's $79.99. So that's a little bit of an upsetting price there too. Let's say the right joystick goes bad on yours, you still got to dish out $50 to replace it. So at that point, it just makes more sense. If for some reason that one of the joysticks goes bad, you just might as well bite the bullet and get the $80 for both, and then you have a spare.
That's true.
Although compared to other controllers, like I work at GameStop, and PS4 controllers are still going for $65 new. And they're going to be for $55 used. So it's still, even though it's outrageous, I think because for me, $50 on something that's that small is not going to be. It doesn't look like it's worth $50, but it's still a little more competitively priced.
Right, and so the Wii U Pro, or I'm sorry, not the Wii U Pro controller. I'll bring that point up in a minute. The Pro controller for the Switch that's at that price point. It's at $69.99, and that's fine. I feel like the Switch would probably fare a little bit better with the Pro controller versus like the Wii U. I never really used my Pro controller that often. I think I might have used it when I played Hyrule Warriors, but it didn't really work that well for like Splatoon in my eyes. It worked great for Smash.
Yeah,
I'll give it that. But to tell you the truth, I actually once they put that GameCube adapter, I just used my old GameCube controllers.
Yeah, that was a godsend. So that was amazing.
Yeah, it was. And it was a smart move because, Nintendo realized that they had their loyal fans. Like, we really have some loyal fans that still have their GameCubes and still have their GameCube controllers. To me, I bought a Wii U Pro controller. Why didn't you make that much at least backwards compatible? Why is that controller not eligible to be used on the Switch? It looks identical.
I don't know, man. I don't know. They have their ways. They know more than us.
They do. Yeah, yes, this is true. So I mean, overall, the price of the system I feel is awesome. And I think the accessories, and I feel that Nintendo's definitely got some heat over it. So we will probably, if anything, we'll probably see Nintendo offering some coupons and different kind of sales on their official stuff. The other thing to keep in mind is that we're probably going to start seeing a lot more third party. But I'm kind of wondering, can a third party make the Joy-Cons?
Like make them work?
Because that's connecting right into the Switch.
See that?
Oh, yeah.
That's what was bothering me too, because as a whole, I really am hoping this generation that they are able to fully utilize this new Rumble HD feature, because if they don't, they just wasted a lot of money, just like they did with the gamepad. They didn't fully utilize that, and hopefully they learned from their mistakes last time. But who knows?
Yeah, and that's a good point you bring up too. Is this HD Sense or whatever? That was a pretty cool part of the presentation, and I'm looking forward to seeing that in action. It looks like 1-2 Switch is going to be the game that'll kind of give you that that sensation stuff that they're talking about. Which, we'll talk a little bit more about 1-2 Switch in a few minutes. But, if that is what is driving the price point, and once I get my hands on the system and I can see or feel that difference, then maybe I might change my tune on it a little bit. But overall, I mean, I think if you're going to do a left or a right, I think $24.99 would have been a much more reasonable price per individual.
Here's the thing. I've always wanted to be able, in a controller, to feel the weight of water in my hand, and I've just always been missing that. And they finally, I can't even get through it.
Hey, your dreams are coming true, buddy.
Can't even.
And the ice cubes.
Forget it.
The ice
And
cubes.
the ice cubes.
That's true.
Oh,
that's
you only
true.
wanted 3? Well, hold on. Shake your glass and get the third one out, or the
Shake
fourth
it,
one out.
shake it.
Early.
No, but something else I was thinking about with those Joy-Cons is that if, like, what if the places around you only have the left one in stock, and then your right one goes bad?
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, if they're only going to be compatible with the one side of the Switch, then you're going to have to go somewhere else, maybe for a higher price, to find the one that you need.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a very interesting topic that we should. That's like an article waiting to happen right there. I like that argument you've got, Lucas. That's smart thinking. I like that. Yeah, that's supply and demand is kind of been an issue with Nintendo lately. So yeah, that should be interesting to see.
I mean, if you're stuck with the right controller and you're doing like, I don't know how it's going to work. If you have a one-player game and you just use like half of the Joy-Con or whatever, and that right one with the analog right in the middle, like, do you just put both hands on the analog stick at the same time and just move it together? What do you do? It's just such an awkward position for the second player.
Yeah, these are some pretty good questions that hopefully we'll get some better answers either before launch or I guess we'll see after launch too. So,
and if you use
overall, I'm pretty impressed with it. I think in reality, this is what we were promised in 2012, right? The fact that we're able to actually now take our entire system to our buddy's house, that was something that they actually pitched with the Wii U. Is like, oh, you just take your gamepad and then you sync it up to their Wii U console and you'll be able to play. When did that ever happen? It was when the Amiibo came out. You could actually do that. And it was only when you had it for certain characters. So that's a little bit of a letdown that, it's finally, 5 years later, we're getting that. But technology is what it is. The only other thing that, and I had to look on Reddit for this a little bit to see what the discussion was. And I think somebody actually has a better theory on this than I do. There is this stock image of people playing, it's Mario Kart, and they all have 4 individual Switches. Like, they're all sitting around the table, and they all have 4 individual controllers in their hand, and they're all playing against each other. But the Switch screen is split 4 ways. I do not want that to be the final situation. I think in the Reddit comment was that it was probably someone lazy with Photoshop and just like, oh, this is what it looks like. We'll just throw it on there, make it fit on the screen. That's great. I don't want to compromise the size of my screen to, play with other people. If I'm playing, 2-player on one screen, I get it. That makes sense. But if I'm playing 4-player with 4 individual screens, I don't want to see anybody else's screen.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, that Reddit dude seems to be onto something.
So, yeah, system-wise, it's it looks pretty good. They pulled out that SD card. It definitely had a 256 gigabyte micro SD, so that is very promising. It's smaller, sure, but it's good to know that you can, 1, pull it out. So that means all you got to do is go buy a bigger one, and then 2, it's bigger than what the Wii U was ever given.
Oh yeah.
So, plus the games are going to be cartridges, so the read-write capabilities are way better on a cartridge than they will ever be on disc. So that's great.
See, here's the thing. Like, everyone has been complaining. I mean, let's talk about this. The memory space. I mean, it's not that big, and yes, we're going cartridges. I mean, guys, just for all of the games that are going to be on cartridges, get them on cartridges. Don't. If there's an option to go digital, don't do that unless, save that space for virtual console or something,
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. So there was an announcement that Nintendo, once a month, they're going to do kind of like what Xbox Live does. I think PlayStation does this too, where you get, with your subscription service, you get a free game. However, Nintendo is saying that the free Nintendo game goes away at the end of that month.
Yes.
I can go download any of those Xbox games I have and put it back on my system and take it off as much as I want. I do not like that.
Yeah.
Even Origin
I'm okay with a
gives you that
subscription
free.
service. What was that?
Even Origin gives you that free game every month.
Yeah,
I
they
think.
do.
In Origin.
Yeah, they do. And I think it's Origin and Steam has a free game, don't they? If not, they discount them big time. I know that much.
Yeah, I don't think Steam has like a free monthly thing. Not that I've seen, at least. But
Okay. But yeah, Origin definitely does that. Yeah, and you get to keep it too. It's yours forever. It's in your library. You own it. It's yours. So if you delete it off your machine, hey, you can reinstall it. I don't like that Nintendo's not going to let you do that.
Yeah, being one with the people on the internet, I know their concerns, and they're like, "Oh, well, you don't own it technically because it's digital. They can just take it away. You're basically getting a 1 month trial of a free game, and then they'll take it away." Mm-hmm. I'm like, I understand that way of thinking, but also I just don't like that. Me personally, I'm used to the other way, and now that they're doing it supposedly this way, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not sure I like it.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with a Nintendo subscription service for online gaming. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm surprised that it's really taken them this long to kind of jump into it, because I mean, Xbox Live has been around for a long time. The PlayStation Network has been around for a long time. Nintendo's had the eShop, of course, but they've not really had like a dedicated service. The other thing that I've not really seen a lot of talk on, and this is probably something to table for another discussion, is voice chat and headsets. Because let's all pretend that the Wii U had wonderful, wonderful audio controls. It sounded like you were calling from a payphone in Dubai during a sandstorm.
That's true.
See, on the Switch's website, it does talk about online lobby and voice chat, but all that says is that once you get the app for your smart device, what does it say? Lets you invite friends to play online, set play appointments, and chat with friends during online matches and compatible games. So it's a
Wi-Fi call.
Yeah, it's going to be either really, really limited.
So basically, I'm hearing we can do Ready Gamer 1 on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
All right, everybody ready? 3, 2, 1, go. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to be, in summer of this year, but it's going to be free and limited, so that's going to be part of the paid services.
I just want to go back to what Ben was talking about with the online aspect. You said you don't have a problem with it. Here's the thing about that, though. I normally wouldn't, but they're not known for their online capabilities at all. And especially going from Wii U, if they're going to make us pay to have this online service like PSN and Xbox Live, they gotta step up their game. And I only have the stuff from the past to go on. And if it's gonna be like that, or just a little bit upgraded from that, I don't want to pay for that service. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
yeah, like any good drug dealer, you got to give a little to get a little.
Exactly. So that's why I'm probably gonna wait for the service until I know for sure like what it's gonna be.
Yeah, and I think that they still have enough time to really. Oh man, they did not like that we're only going to let them have a game for a month. Maybe we might want to refocus that. Maybe we might want to rethink that. So, but speaking of games, let's talk about the launch games. So let's get this one over with. Lucas, you and I had both kind of heard the big rumor that Legend of Zelda was going to end up being a Switch title, but it was still just a rumor last week.
Yep.
That ended up really being the big takeaway because they saved that little nugget of joy for the very last second. Breath of the Wild is now officially releasing with the Switch on March 3rd, as well as the ill-fated Wii U version of the game. Now, I plan on buying the Wii U version, and I in my little note here, I wrote a joke that it'll probably just remain sealed in isolated slumber like Link for 100 years before it gets open. To me, it's just about having the completed factor. I bought a Wii U because I knew that there was going to be a solo dedicated Zelda game. Now, I got some pretty fun games in between that, but I'm finally going to be able to say I now have the Zelda game for the system, although it was at the end of its life. I'm actually more excited that I will have a Zelda game to play on a new system at launch. So that's wonderful news.
I'm kind of up creek, really, because I talked to Ben about this. I'm not sure if I told Lucas, but I bought my Wii U. I was like, I'm pretty sure I was the first person with a Wii U. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I was. And I bought it solely for The Legend of Zelda NX at the time.
Wii U, you mean?
No, yeah, you're right. It didn't have a name at the time, so everyone was just like, Legend of Zelda, whatever. And I was like, give it a name. Yeah. And then recently, I sold my Wii U, and, crucify me, whatever. But I'm sorry. I was I was going to get a Switch, but I don't know, man. I think with the launch titles that are out right now, it seems like Zelda's the only one that's really pulling it through, and so I think I might wait for December or something like that.
That's fair, because and I make that point when we get to Super Mario Odyssey, because that's the big holiday release game for the Switch. But yeah, so it's exciting that Legend of Zelda is going to. And Zelda will always sell a console. It doesn't matter what system it's on. If it's on a home console like the Switch or the Wii U, or if it's on the 3DS, Zelda will sell a console. That's just a guarantee. So will Mario, and so will other games. Lucas, we talked about this title too. That we didn't know what Koei Tecmo was working on, but we knew that they were doing a Warrior game. And we had speculated that it was going to be Mario Brothers, but no, you are like super excited about this because we are getting Fire Emblem Warriors, which is pretty exciting. And actually, the very brief trailer that we got for it, it didn't show much, but man, it looked that much cleaner and that much more crisp over Hyrule Warriors. So I'm actually excited to play it. Oh yeah. I kind of let everyone know that Fire Emblems just wasn't really my bag last week. So Lucas, I'm gonna turn this one over to you. Brandon, I think you're a pretty big Fire Emblem fan too, right? Yeah, so talk about this.
All right. So I was actually playing Fire Emblem Fate's Birthright last night when I was watching Frasier, and I was thinking about.
Wait.
What?
You were playing Fire Emblem Fates while watching
As
Frasier.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
Frasier.
Do you not do that nightly?
Frasier.
Yeah.
No.
Peanut butter and jelly, and Fire Emblem and Frasier.
And Frasier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I apparently I'm not living right. Continue.
Come on, Ben. Leave it to the experts.
I was thinking about that trailer, and I thought that how this type of game, that kind of fighting game, is going to be perfectly suited for a Warriors title. But something that I'm not excited for is how we're going to lose some of the key aspects of Fire Emblem, which are, the
relationships.
Yeah, the relationships, the skills, and reclassing. I don't think there's going to be any sort of reclassing in this game because it would be tough to try and change so much about that character like within the same game. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how they hash that out. But Fire Emblem is going to be such a good fighting game. I have always wanted to be able to play those games in a 3D world as those fantastic characters. I hope that they take some of the characters from the older games. I hope Crom's in there. I hope even people like Varian. I love Varian's attitude. If he's in there, I will play him all the time. Ben, for you and anyone else who doesn't know about Varian, he's this like high society archer, and he thinks he's better than everyone else, and he has fantastic hair. And he's just the best.
So Groose is in another game.
Basically.
Okay. I'm good with that. Actually, I want to interject real quick because you bring up something about relationships. And I'm going to say that as Hyrule Warriors was pretty simple, it actually told a really good story. And I feel like I actually got pretty well invested, mostly with the new characters. With Sia and...
Lana.
Thank you. I was drawing a blank on her name. Granted, it was, I remember I think it was in Ganon's castle or somebody's mansion or something where like everyone has to rally around Link. We're all friends with Link. I remember the text being so cheesy, but I'm like, no, you know what? That kind of makes sense. So, I think if they're going that direction, if they use like a little bit of what they did with Hyrule Warriors, I think that they're going to be able to tell a really good story.
Yeah, for sure.
Now you guys have listed on here. You're seeing this is released for holiday 2017. I couldn't find that on anything.
Yeah, on Nintendo's their YouTube channel for the trailer for Fire Emblem Warriors, it says coming to Nintendo Switch holiday 2017.
Oh, fantastic! I was looking for a release date for it, and I was like, well, I'm going to assume that it must still be in development, so it's probably going to be an early 2018 game. But no, that's even better.
Yeah.
And apparently,
So speaking of holiday 2017, the big game that's probably going to drive a lot of sales for the system, Super Mario Odyssey, or as I was calling it, Super Mario Grand Theft Auto, because that's what I thought it was
Or
at first.
Super Mario.
And I'm actually really disappointed that it's not that.
Minish Cap. Come on, I'm calling it.
It does look like it's borrowing a little bit of some traits of Minish Cap. That's for sure. You know, actually, Brandon and I pointed this out to each other. The coolest thing out of that trailer is when he throws that hat in between the two buildings and jumps on it to like bridge that gap. That looks so cool. It's so simple. It's like the simplest little thing in a Mario game. I'm like, man, that looks freaking sweet.
But I know that there are going to be so many people who die if they misjudge that distance, or if they gotta go off to the side. That's the only thing that I think is going to be a little annoying. But that's such a cool feature. I love that.
Maybe it's like a set thing.
Yeah.
You know, whenever he throws that hat, and they can only jump, to that distance. It's just set whenever they do that.
Just give me time with the game. I'm sure I'll screw it up.
True.
No, but the game looks really interesting. It looks like it's really borrowing, like the Mario game for this system looks like it's doing what the Switch is doing with all previous systems, right? It's borrowing a little bit from everything else. So to me, I see a lot of influence from Mario 64. I see a lot of influence from Mario Galaxy, and even a little bit of Super Mario Sunshine. The Bowser stuff kind of bothered me a little bit in the trailer because Bowser is starting to turn into like this really weird kind of character. The furry Bowser or whatever that was in Super Mario 3D World.
Oh yeah, that was
when
the
he
worst.
becomes a kitty cat. I was like, man, Nintendo's got this furry thing going on, and that ain't working for me very well.
Dude, the cuter Bowser gets, the more dangerous he gets.
That's oddly true and terrifying at the same time.
But let's be honest, Bowser looks like a pimp, and he is gangsta for show. Like, he's got it going on, man. I'm excited.
That was his wedding suit.
Yeah, that was his wedding
He
suit.
and Peach were
He's
getting
getting married.
Oh my God, him and Peach are getting married. I'm rooting for Bowser.
They're getting hitched.
Mario's the bad guy. Let's go.
It's been 30 years in the making, man. It's about time. No,
Finally got the girl.
Actually, who did I mention this to? I think I might just made this obvious comment, but the trailer, and this was like, it was so Monsters Inc. of me to notice this because when I bring this point up, if you think about Sully from Monsters Inc., like when he moves, there's just so much freeform in all of his fur. Mm-hmm. Mario's hair, like the mustache hair and the hair on his head, looks amazing. Like it's textured and feathered, and it looks really cool.
It's like they got someone.
So they really did a lot of detail.
Yeah, it's like they got someone from Square Enix or something to work those fibers or those hair strand things, whatever.
Yeah, it's just amazing, like where Mario has come from to like, wow, he looks. Now the Ryan brought this up in our group chat. He said that he's a little uneasy about Mario interacting with human beings because he does look a little out of place.
That's weird.
Oh God, Sonic Adventures or whatever it was. Man,
Oh yeah,
that was
the best.
Yeah.
That was the best. Yeah, you're right, Lucas.
So, but no, that'll be a game that will sell some systems in the holiday season for sure. Like, people that were on the fence, like, oh man, there's a Mario game coming, that will just always sell them. I was actually kind of surprised that we're not going to see a Mario Maker port or anything like that as of right now, anyway. Because to me, I enjoyed that. I actually enjoyed the online playable stuff for the Wii U on Mario Maker, but that's not coming.
Well, I was surprised we weren't getting a Super Mario 64 port. I don't know about you.
Fair enough.
But
yeah,
they like to do things like way back there, so you got to think like that.
Yeah. So another game that we knew that Splatoon was coming to the system, but we all had really kind of assumed it was going to be just a port with some new levels or something. But no, it is legitimately Splatoon 2. It is a sequel. It's going to have new weapons, new abilities, and new modes. I haven't seen any footage of it, but it certainly sounded like they were talking about dual wielding.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
The guy who came up with the goggles and the shooters had that. So I'm pretty sure that's what he said. You could dual wield those two. Yeah,
so that's pretty cool. That's a brand new feature for that game. Looks like some new levels, and that Splatoon 2 will be coming out in the summer. They don't have a definitive release date. I'm going to say probably June. That would be a safe bet for that.
June.
So,
what?
and then speaking of those, what?
I said June what?
15th. I don't know.
June what?
June 15th.
Sure.
Just so I can quote you on it.
32nd. It's coming out June 32nd. You can quote me on that. But no, speaking of the Inklings, they are joining the crew in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is not exactly a sequel, but a little bit more of a port with some new stuff. So there's definitely a Splatoon level. There's Link and all the Animal Crossing characters showed up in the trailer. So I'm wondering if we're going to have a round of DLC again, or if they're just going to be available and it's just a free-for-all with all these characters. I'm really hoping it's more of a free-for-all versus downloadable content, because I don't want to download that stuff again.
I mean, that would be such a mistake. Don't even get me started on that. That better have everything included, and then whatever upgrades they put on it. Because honestly, I think the price point for that is not good at all. I don't see many people getting it again.
Yeah, I'm okay losing the Mercedes-Benz and all those other little things, but if I have to pay to get Link again, I'm not going to be happy.
I was going to say they're probably, if they don't include it all, it might just be free to download, like if you want to. That would be smart if they don't include it all in the game itself.
Yeah, or just do like I'd even be comfortable with like a $2.99. So as long as it's under $5, hey, get everything that you had on the Wii U for $2.99. Fine, great, okay. I'm still a little upset I got to spend $3 more, but at least it's reasonable.
Sure, I'd dish that out, but I'm skeptical.
Yeah. So we kind of touched about this game a little bit earlier. 1-2 Switch, which is a very different game. This is going to be the game that really kind of introduces the player to the Joy-Cons, and it reminds me a little bit of the old WarioWare games. But the thing that's really neat about it is that you're not playing the screen, you're not playing the system, you're playing the person against you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat. So to me, this is like Nintendo really kind of trying to, let's bring the family back together. Let's have family game nights. Let's have friends over. Let's do that. And this is going to be one of those games. How long will that novelty last? That's, up to the people playing,
Let's
I guess.
all milk cows together.
Oh my god.
Yes, the cow milking, and that's what they're talking about. How that HD sense. I'm like, I've always wanted to use my Joy-Con to feel what a cow udder felt like.
Oh no one. Look, speaking of that, like when it started.
Oh, are you going to tell us about cow udders because you're from Texas?
Oh my god. I'm already done with this. Whatever this is, I'm leaving. No, but like it started off with kind of like a Red Dead vibe,
Yeah, it was such a weird intro trailer.
I was like, come on, give us. I was so misled by that, and then I was like, oh, okay. But what I am confused about, and maybe I'm the only one who's confused about this. They said all you need is the console, obviously. One part of the Joy-Con, and then the second part of the Joy-Con, and then you have a game. And I was like, oh, cool. So that 1-2 Switch game is just going to be a part of the memory. And no. So you need...
Well, no, you got to pay for it.
So I was a little disappointed in that, but oh well.
So 1-2 Switch will launch on launch day with the system on March 3rd. Another confirmed title was Just Dance 2017 that will launch on launch day.
Yay.
It's just going to be improved graphics and new songs.
Whoop-de-doo.
So this is a little bit we're talking about here, Sonic Mania. Sonic Mania will be releasing in spring 2017, and what it is, it's not exactly like it, how we all really, really love new Super Mario Brothers. Well, it's not exactly new Sonic, but it's kind of in that vein. It's a 2D Sonic game as if it were made for the Sega Genesis. It's basically the Lost Sonic game. It's a flat-out 2D adventure, brand new levels, brand new everything. You can play as Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles. And I can remember back in the day where it was Sonic versus Knuckles. That's how far back I go. But no, that looks pretty cool. Now, this is not a Switch exclusive title either. This will be available on the PS4 and the Xbox One. But it's always fun to see that old Sega logo and Sonic rolling through it for a Nintendo game, because Nintendo clearly won.
Oh yeah.
We got NBA 2K18, which we knew we were going to get the NBA game. Obviously, we saw that in the trailer. That's going to be released in September of 2017, and this is good news. The Wii U did not have much in regards to third-party support with EA Sports or anybody else. So to see some sports games come back to a Nintendo console, this is big news. Now, I know, Brandon, you're not a big fan of the sports games on the systems, and that's fine. But, there are people out there. I got a coworker that is just like, as long as I get my Madden, as long as I get, something good from EA, then that's good. And EA, they've got this new FIFA coming out, and I think that's going to be like testing the water. I hope they, if it does poorly, I hope they don't go, well, let's not do it. No, put Madden on the system. Madden will sell.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I respect it.
Let's see. We got Elder Scrolls. Skyrim is officially confirmed now. But I think the real takeaway was when, was that the CEO of Bethesda that was on the demo?
I think so.
Or the presentation? Whoever it was from Bethesda.
Tom.
He was super excited. Was that really his name?
Yeah, Tom.
George. Okay. Anyway, he said that he was excited to work with Nintendo, and he's excited about working with them in the future. And to me, that is exciting news for a Nintendo fan, and because Bethesda makes good games. I'm excited to see what we may or may not get. Hopefully what we do.
I'm gonna be a little negative Nancy here. I think it would have been smarter for them to release it at launch, because it'll be like the second re-release of Elder Scrolls Skyrim. By the time it comes out, I'm like, cool, that was like 6 years ago. Who cares?
Well, I mean, it's already a lost title for me. I have it on the Xbox One, so I'm not going to buy it for the Switch. There's nothing that is going to say, oh, you really need to get it. No.
Right.
The only game that I would ever rebuy if it ends up making its way to the Switch, if Unravel makes its way to the Switch, I will put that on the system. I will pay whatever it takes to put that on the system so I can travel with that. That is a fun game. That is a lovely game for me.
I heard it was good.
But otherwise, I'm good with just leaving it on the Xbox right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Question.
Yeah.
Can I change the subject real fast?
No.
Sure.
All right. So, I was going to do it anyway.
We only had one game left.
I was just thinking about what you were talking about with the charging port for the
Oh, we're going back in time.
Oh yeah, way back.
Oh man.
Okay.
I was actually looking over the article that I wrote up, and there is going to be a USB Type C adapter for it. So I'm guessing that might be either like a car charger or something. So you can play that and charge at the same time. So it's not
good, because I'm thinking with like my battery backup that I use for my Kindle, I should be able to use that, because it's that, I think that's a Type C too as well.
Yeah.
If it's not, it's Type B. I can't remember. It's the same as an Android. What is Android? Type B?
B or C? I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So no, okay.
It does have
well,
its own
that's
charging
good.
port, so I just want to clear that up.
That's good.
Well, that makes me happy. Now I'm that much more happier about the Switch.
Bam. There we go.
So the last game we're going to talk about, there were a lot of other games that were confirmed and announced for the Switch, but this is one that I wanted to kind of talk about because it's different, but it looks kind of neat too. Like it's going to be a game that either people are going to buy it and love it or buy it and not like it. And this is ARMS, which is the ribbon boxing game, which clearly looks like it's meant to be on the more, like, I think Wii Fit's going to be making a way back. It'll be like Switch Fit now. Because this game looks like it's going to tire your arms out quick.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a boxing game. And it looks, it's just the Nintendo characters. Well, not like normal Nintendo characters, but it's like Nintendo animation. Yeah, so it looks fun, right? I've never had as much fun beating somebody up in a game as I did with ARMS.
It'll be a little bit harder too, because with all the weight of the water and the rumble,
you're gonna be spilling water everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh man, I really hope that the waiter game comes out. Switch waiter. I really want to know what it's like to feel a multiple glasses on my tray.
Maybe a
don't spill them.
Maybe a
don't spill
plate
them.
or two.
Yeah. Oh man. Now that's a fun game. That's probably gonna be a 1-2 switch, right? Like the old plate spinning.
Or like egg walking or something with a spoon.
Egg walking.
Yeah,
there we go. There we go. Yeah.
You can feel it wobbling.
Yeah. Weeble wobble, but they don't fold
Start
down.
it, Nintendo. Let's go.
Jeez.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that really covers it up. We're doing pretty good on our time personally, but we're all members of this group called Nintendo Holics, and we posted a question on there last week because a lot of people have heard me not very happy with Metroid Prime Federation Force. So I posted the question about what was the worst video game of all time, and you know, this is not factual; it's all subjective. So for me, I actually cannot say that Federation Force is the worst game of all time for me. It's a bad game to me because it's not Metroid. It's not a legitimate Metroid game, and so to me, it's just not fun. It's a great game for the 3DS, though. I'll give it that. It's a fun multiplayer game for that system. Aside that, that's all I can speak of, because otherwise, it's just like Triforce Heroes. It's got its little novelty clicks, but it's not for me. My absolute worst game, I had to replay it this week just to confirm it. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Worst game ever. Terrible design. Not even in the same vein of any of the other Banjo-Kazooie games. It was, you know, the title even, you know, Nuts and Bolts.
It's not even a full game.
It's more of a Conquer title, really, because Conquer was always more of the immature one. Granted, you know, Kazooie is a little bit of a jerk, but, you know, Banjo and Kazooie together, they don't really have like double entendre and innuendo. So to me, Nuts and Bolts was like the biggest swing and a miss from the Rare days with Microsoft. But thankfully, the good Rare people that have formed Playtonic Games, they're going to take that nasty taste out of everyone's mouth, and we're going to get Yooka-Laylee. That comes out. Actually, when I was pricing some stuff out on Amazon for the Switch, Yooka-Laylee showed up for the PS4 and on Xbox One, and I love that it said sold out.
Nice.
That makes me so
That's
happy.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great for them. I'm super excited to see what Playtonic is going to do after Yooka-Laylee, because like I said last week, I have the sandbox for this game. I love playing in that, and I just cannot wait to get my hands on this game. Lucas, what was yours?
I usually try to stay away from games that I know are going to be kind of these clunkers. I always read the reviews beforehand, but for me, one that I didn't do was Dragon Age Inquisition.
You just went for it.
Yeah,
come on.
I like the art and I like it, but I played Dragon Age Origins first, and I loved that game. That was more like that top-down RPG. I like being able to gain favor and then lose it with my followers and all that. And the story was great in Origins. I loved the story. But when I switched over to Inquisition, it felt forced, and the gameplay was not as easy to pick up. It was a little tougher for me, of course, to transition over to that. And the abilities were kind of not boring, but the abilities that your character could have were okay. I mean, and it looked good. The graphics were okay, but I don't buy a game for the graphics. But the story was just so
Great.
generic for me. It's just it wasn't worth what I bought it for. I forget, it was probably like $20, but for me it just wasn't worth it.
Gosh, that's so disappointing. How dare you, sir? How dare
Nothing
you?
bad
Brandon,
about
what's your
the
worst?
Dragon Age franchise as a whole, but just that one game was just it didn't measure up for me.
The second one.
What's your worst game, Brandon?
All right. I can't think of any Nintendo games right now, but I will tell you that Assassin's Creed Black Flag for me is probably one of the worst things I've ever played.
I actually will kind of almost agree with that, because that was one of the first Assassin's Creed games that I ever played. And it was super boring for me. I could not get invested. I was like,
Flag.
I'm just gonna turn this off and I'm gonna go play Tomb Raider.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know why it just didn't have the feel for me as the other 3 or 4 did. And I played them since 1. Just Altair for me is the all-time favorite.
Thank you.
I mean, come on. Ezio is pretty good too. But like I don't know. For some reason, I don't even remember the guy's name for Black Flag. I'm just done with it.
What is his name?
Exactly.
He's pretty forgettable.
Connor's in 3.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what is his name?
That's gonna bother me forever.
That is gonna bother me. What is his name?
Oh man. Well, that'll be answered next week.
To the void.
Well, that's it for us here at Ready Gamer 1. But before we go, we want to leave you with a question for next week. And remember, you want to comment on this, because what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at everybody's comments, and we might talk about your game. We might even mention you. So here's the question. What video game of all time, it doesn't matter if it's Nintendo or not, what video game has the best soundtrack to you? I guarantee it's Zelda game.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, let us know what you think about that in the comments, and leave us some feedback as well. I'm Ben Cornett with Lucas Corbitt and Brandon Loera. And we're Ready Gamer 1. So thanks for joining, guys.
Thank you.
Adios.